Blog Talk Radio.
Heard of the quiet storm. Now, be ready for the thunderstorm. The show where we can't keep quiet, discussing world affairs from the Christian hip-hop perspective. That's right, the Christian hip-hop perspective. With your host, Christian hip-hop artist and sports blogger, GQ Forever, and your co-host, producer and audio engineer, I am.
So turn up
your radio. You are now listening to the Thunderstorm.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think I had to tell y'all what it is. You might be a little bit surprised because it's so early in the morning. But it's 9:01 a.m., 9:24:16. The Thunderstorm is on. I'm your host. Let's go. We created Thunderstorm Media. We created the Thunderstorm itself for shows just like this one. Y'all gonna be blessed by what I got for y'all this morning. So important that we thought we'd call up my brother Raymond Hicks. Regardless of what you heard about this man on social media, regardless of what you heard about this man on whether it be Google, Twitter, however you access information, it's really important that we sometimes get the story straight from the horse's mouth. We got him on today. You will be blessed by the story, I promise you. And also, too, joining me in studio, in the guest host chair, is my brother from another mother, J Locke, head of SMG, author of one of the great ministry assignments that I've heard in the last month or so. This man did an awesome job. We got the audio. We're going to play the entire audio. It's going to be like a mini concert. Plus, we'll also be talking about some of the stuff that's going on in Charlotte, North Carolina. I give my take on that. But overall, I see the phone lines lighting up. The show is jam. We appreciate every single one of y'all. And we might as well go ahead and get started. Like the pages on Facebook, Crosslink Movement, GQ Forever, Ionosphere Productions, Thunderstorm Media, Thunderstorm Sports, Rev Reed, the 47 Disciple, J Locke SMG. I'm your host, GQ Forever, GQ_4_EVA. GQ is spelled just like it sounds, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the co-editor for Inside Eagles on Fansided, contributing writer for Saturday Blitz, contributing editor for Blast the News, CEO and host of the Thunderstorm. What else do I do? I'm a Christian hip-hop artist, one of the proponents of the hip gospel movement, and you're tuned into the Storm. Special broadcast early on Saturday morning. Feels a little weird because the sun is outside and the kids are still playing. But on special occasions, we got to do this. Also, make sure you tune in to me tomorrow on Thunderstorm Sports every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you got both my blogs on Blogspot and WordPress. Follow me on Twitter at GQ_4_EVA. Follow at Storm Sports 66, at Storm Radio 66. Follow me on RotoGab on iTunes, on my Bird Game Weekly podcast. The email addresses are as follows: thunderstormradio66@gmail.com, thunderstormsport66@gmail.com. Email the show. Call the show if you want to talk. I know some of my listeners are shy, but call the show. Hit the number 1 when you hit 602-753-1759. We'll bring you in. We got an old school bus coming up. We got audio from my man J Locke coming up. We got my big brother Raymond Hicks coming up. And make sure that you bookmark us all on the ways that you can listen to us. We're on Stitcher. We're on iTunes. We're on TuneIn. What else? Coming soon to iHeartRadio. And bookmark us on all those different ways. And, of course, here on Blog Talk Radio, just search for Thunderstorm Media for classic and new episodes. I think I nailed everything. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Storm. As I've stated before, this comes in the wake of a lot of stuff that we've seen over the course of the last few days. Another black man has been murdered. Is that even news anymore? Let me say this. I can understand the frustration and the anger of some of the people and what you are doing. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with all of it. I can't say that if I wasn't 5 to 10 years younger, I wouldn't be right out there with you. Take a little bit of history lesson here. I was a history buff. There was a guy by the name of J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover actually made a statement one time as he was head of the FBI and created what was called COINTELPRO, one of the most malicious organizations ever created in the course of this country, where we're told that we don't support terrorists, foreign or domestic, and we created one. His name was J. Edgar Hoover. He created COINTELPRO, and his statement was, the most dangerous thing in this country was if black folks mobilized as a force. That statement is still true. Ladies and gentlemen, we have power. We have a voice. We obviously influence things, whether it be through the hip-hop culture, which you're so ingrained into you don't even realize you do hip-hop anymore. You hire DJs for everything. We're the reason you went out and started making those SUVs popular. We're the reason you started putting shiny rims on your cars. We're the reason for most of your slang. We're the reason you know anything about groups like Mary Mary, Jodeci, and Mary J. Blige. Hip-hop influences all that. But also, too, as people, we have the power to influence on a whole nother level. We can influence things socially. We can influence things financially. That's how you hit people, not by turning cars over and setting your own city on fire. Now, I will state that the reason they're upset in the first place is because at some point black people actually realized that why don't we stop tearing up our own neighborhoods? Why don't we go tear up some of their stuff? That's when the problem became. But there's a much more peaceful, much more healthy way to do this. I call all the prayer warriors that I know to activate, whether it be the Crosslink movement, whether it be my big brothers, whether it be the guys that I have on the show with me today, Raymond Hicks and J Locke, or whether it be my sisters in ministry, whether it be Deborah Tulay, the Queen Lavietta, whether it be so many I can't even think of them off the top of my head. Debbie and the Key, Tawana Ross. God Belongs in My City comes to Charlotte on October 29th, and it's going to be right on time. But you can't do things the way that we're doing it. I understand your frustration. I'm not even going to sit here and admonish you like everybody keeps admonishing you and telling you how crazy you are. I'm not going to use words like ignorant. I understand your anger, and I understand when frustration builds up, anger manifests itself in so many different ways. But history has shown us this hasn't worked for anything either. When black people can mobilize forcefully and do it quietly and do it peacefully, that's when they see danger. That's when they get upset. That's when they get fearful. Because the whole reason of what J. Edgar Hoover did in the first place, to send letters to whether it be the Black Stone Rangers, pretending he was the Black Panthers, to create division, writing letters from his own organization to other members of the Black Panther Party to create division, to create this atmosphere of fear, to create this atmosphere to make them feel like we're in danger from our own people. Think of the Black Stone Rangers, or El Rukin as they eventually became, and the Black Panthers were united. The Black Panthers, we glamorized the leather, the 12-gauge shotguns, the 10-point platform, but what the whole point of what they were was they were a force that was originally created to protect the community. I have friends, cousins, relatives in Chicago, and I actually have a first cousin who actually went through the free lunch program with the Black Panther Party in Chicago on the South Side. I think Common, one of my influences, did the same thing. But you influence things financially, you influence things through intelligence, and when we can line up, whether it be with a suit on or whether it be with urban wear, but when we can lock arms, when we can tie the blue and red bandana together, when we can do that, and we can do that without destroying the community, that's what they're afraid of. They allow this stuff on Facebook because this is what they want from you in the first place. They want you to create this atmosphere. They want you to get into the mind frame of this is all that you're capable of. That's the whole point of them allowing you to do these things. A trending topic is created by social media, not by you. You don't influence trending topics because all of y'all got on social media and started talking about stuff. They create what they want you to talk about. They call it the trending topic, and then you all log in to continue to talk about what it is, which is why you keep seeing this stuff. Because Facebook, social media, as much as we all use it, it's all fueled by mess. And the more mess, the better for them. Because if you tune in to whatever it is that you look at, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Facebook, whatever you have a preference or whichever one, or Instagram or whatever, people are logging in looking for mess and looking to talk about mess. And they need to have mess available when you tune in. Otherwise, the fear is maybe they'll get off Facebook and they'll go to Twitter. You're not a voice because you're saying what they want you to say. You're not a voice because you're doing exactly what they expected you to do and want you to do. You're a voice because you influence things differently and you make them fearful in different things. And I think right now, with that, I'm going to bring on my big brother, my homeboy, my brother from another mother, co-creator of the Crosslink movement and co-charter member of the Crosslink. My brother J Locke is on with me right now. What's going on, Jay?
What's up? What's going on?
Everything is good, brother. Everything is good. Any thoughts to what I just stated or anything you want to add as well, my brother?
I think you was pretty dead on, man. I think that is a lot of what needs to be said. And I think that a lot of that needs to be said and really set down and explained to our pastors and our youth leaders and our organizers, because like right now, a lot of people are trying to make things happen with old tactics. We still looking at it and still handling it kind of like we did in the 60s. But their movement has upgraded and got technology, and we still holding hands singing Negro spirituals walking down the street. So I think once we're aware of how things have transitioned, how they've modified, updated, upgraded, I think we'll be better prepared. But, I mean, everything you said should be heard everywhere, specifically with our leaders. Because with the leaders, what happened with the leaders is it's a trickle-down effect. If your leader is in tune and aware of what's going on, he can convey that message to his followers. Because they might not receive it from you or me, but guess who they will receive it from? Their leader. Right. So I just don't think we have enough, and I think we have a lot of people that really don't want to get their hands dirty for real. Like, it's almost like that fight on the playground when, you know, that line is drawn in the sand and nobody steps across it because nobody really want to fight. But they'll just stay on their side and just talk junk and you get real close, but never cross that line. I think that has to be addressed in our community. We need to find out who is actually fighting for our community and who is not. But yeah, that's my take. We should do a manual or something and kind of just distribute it amongst the leaders and the youth leaders. We are trying to reach the people, and we do with the platforms that we have, but it's also very vital and very important that we reach the leaders. Because they come in with an already made group of listeners, you know.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. We're going to do a mini manual today. We got 2 hours here today on the Thunderstorm broadcast. We're actually going to do a mini manual real quick. Coming up on the other side of the break here, we got my man Raymond Hicks. The whole topic of this show is injustice. The whole topic of this show is oppression. And before I was introduced to my brother Raymond Hicks by my homegirl Ty, shout out to Dade County in Miami, Florida. I kind of got a little bit to the point where I was a little naive with the fact that I forgot stories like these still existed.
Yeah.
When you Google Raymond Hicks, if you Google him in one aspect, you'll see nothing but negative comments. If you Google him just by his name, Raymond Hicks, and he'll be able to explain it to you a little bit better in detail later. You look Google him in another aspect or just Google his name, you hear nothing but complimentary things. His story is amazing. I'm trying not to get into it all by myself here right now, but obviously the best man to tell you his story is the man himself. So while other avenues, areas of expression, other radio shows, other television broadcasts are trying to keep this brother from talking, obviously you know my attitude, he's a perfect fit for the Thunderstorm.
Absolutely.
And we got him coming up on the other side of this break. And actually we're going to be talking to you as well, my brother. congratulations on a phenomenal effort of ministry, one of the best I've heard of musical ministry, and it was done at Grace Tabernacle Christian Center. We got the audio. We're going to play in its entirety a little later. But how did it feel to even be in a move like that in the first place?
Say that one more time.
How did it feel to even be in a move like that in the first place as it was happening, a great ministry assignment like you did at Grace Tabernacle?
You know, you look at everything that you already know that's in you. Because what God instills in you, you already know who you are. You know what I mean? And the only thing is sometimes it can get frustrating because you're not able to display what God gives you in its fullness. But it's a blessing to be able to manifest what He's instilled in me, and for it to be received the way it is received and was received is just only confirmation. I mean, David knew he was always David. He just had nobody else believed it, you know. So yeah, it was a blessing to be out there in the ministry that was so willing and open to stand there with me in the sake of their youth. And that was the most beautiful thing, was actually, like, they loved their youth that much that they invested in their youth. It wasn't just talk. It wasn't just a regular church service and, you know, we're going to just call it a youth service, but we ain't going to do nothing different. We just going to just have a service. They was open enough to stay, you know, step outside of the box. And I was just like, I think they're the real heroes, you know, just for even being that open and optimistic on behalf of their youth. I commend them. I think they're a great ministry. And if you're in the Fayetteville area, I would ask, or Hope Mill area, I would ask that you guys stop by and attend. Bring your kids.
Word up. I'm gonna pick your brain on a little bit later and everything. Again, phenomenal work that you did on that assignment there that God placed in your heart and that God placed in that ministry. We got the entire audio coming up towards the end of the show here. I'm gonna pick your brain a little bit. We know you got the new video that you got popping. I get into youth services as well with you and everything. As much as I love them, I also want to get your thoughts, because my whole thing is when we get to the point as hip gospel artists or Christian hip-hop artists or holy hip-hop artists or whatever the moniker they want to put on us, we can't just be placed in the youth ministry without babysitter.
Absolutely.
We need to be letting that main sanctuary a little bit more and everything, because now they're getting to the point where they just feel like whenever it's hip-hop, we got to throw it over there, and I'm tired of the stigma to some extent. But I'm going to get your thoughts on that.
I agree.
On the other side of this, word up. And on the other side of this joint here, we're going to go into one of your joints from your other album, and then we're going to get the man of God, Raymond Hicks, on the line here right now. We got, we got a bunch of J Locke joints I got in the thing. I'm going to go with one of my favorites from the joint, man. I'm going to go with Praise. Praise by J Locke. And then right after that, the next voice you hear will be Raymond Hicks. Thunderstorm, keep it locked.
Yeah. To the heavens, the old me died in his presence. The new me know its worth, its direction. The old me say yes and it lack discretion. Such aggression carry guns for protection. The new me know God through transgression, through his blessings, through his gifts, through his lessons. At the altar I sit amongst thieves and hearts that don't believe. Grieve, the hearts of men can be deceived. We've come too far to just retreat. Seeds planted in the soul grow trees and sprout leaves and bear fruit. That's the stuff that you receive. His will, his grace is all you ever need. Indeed, time is street life, looking for a sky in the future that don't seem bright. He drift, dreams of a street life, trying to find his way in the world that don't seem right. He know better, he was raised in the church, from a prayer sent up, so he never got hurt. Though a few close calls left stains on his shirt, yet God never left us. Such a blessing. Think after all his messes and imperfections, misguidances, close calls and misdirections, that he can still send a prayer up into the heavens. That God glanced down in his direction, means something, dreamed something. Next morning it came true. By the evening he was tweaking and speaking in front of you. Should say God blesses the miracles rain true. Now I'm looking at the sun, young man, you can't do. That's cool.
We come to stream and shout. We come to turn it out. We come to move the crowd. In case there's any doubt, we can hear. Giving God the praise. We're giving God the praise. We're giving God the praise. Yeah. We come to lift him up and tear the devil down. We come to spread his word. His word. 'Cause he weighs the cloud. 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 Oh, yeah. Hey, young world. Hey, young world. Hey, young world. Hey, young world. We're giving God the praise. We're giving God the praise. We're giving God the praise. Hey, young world. Hey, young world. Hey, young world. Young world, young world. We're giving God the praise. Come on, open up your mouth. Yeah.
When you encourage yourself, it can lead to success. God wants you to be a successful business person. God wants you to be a successful child of God. God wants you to be a successful deacon. God wants you to be a successful pastor. God wants you to be a successful usher. God wants you to be a successful parent. God wants you to be a successful political leader. God wants you to be successful according to his standards. God wants our young people to not just go for C's. God wants our young people to be magna cum laude. God wants our young people to graduate at the top. God wants our young people to go for the gusto. God wants our young people to quit thinking that you got to have your pants pulled down to the bottom of your behind and your hat turned around backward and a Mr. T starter kit around your neck and gold in your mouth and none in your pocket and your rims are spinning while your life is standing still. God! Boy, I dare you to touch as many people around you and say success, 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 success. You're a survivor. You're a survivor. And because you are a survivor, you got to learn how to encourage yourself and stop waiting on everybody else to pat you on the back. Stop waiting for everybody else to tell you to do the doggone thing. Stop waiting on everybody else to tell you it's your time. You got to learn how to encourage yourself. Quit waiting for other people to tell you you look good. Tell yourself that you look good. And if somebody tell you that you don't look good, tell them that's a matter of an opinion and your opinion don't matter. You waiting on somebody to take you out? Take your own self out. Go to the movies for yourself. Get you a hot dog and get you some nachos and get you some lemon heads and drink it all down with a Diet Coke. Hold yourself. Put your arm around yourself.
Kerwin Lee, the head of Berean Christian Church in the beautiful city of Atlanta, Georgia. Love that every time we hear it. Encouraged by that brother every time we hear him. Before that, you were listening to Praise by my brother J Locke, who is actually in the studio with me today, holding it down as the guest host in the guest host chair. Shout out to my other brother from another mother, Ion. With that being said, we get into today's proceedings. And let me just always mention J Locke, where holy hip hop, where saved gospel where great ministry meets sexy.
Oh, Lord.
I feel cooler every time I'm around you, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, I always got to have fun, but ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, like we said before, in the wake of the violence that has plagued the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, and the rest of the country, we decided we was going to do a special broadcast of the Thunderstorm radio show. Most definitely one of the first persons I think to call when we needed to talk about something serious was my brother, J Locke. And then I was introduced by my homegirl, Talisha, who I love very dearly, making motherhood look beautiful as always. Talisha introduced me to this man of God. I've been blessed by his presence already. We've already developed a friendship, and I'm pretty sure that friendship will continue past what we do here this morning. But ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the Thunderstorm Studios via the way of the Thunderstorm Hotline. We got on the line all the way from Dade County, Miami, Florida. We got Raymond Hicks. Welcome to the Thunderstorm, sir.
Good morning, brother. How you all doing out there in the radio land?
Bless you, bless you.
We're awesome. Awesome. We appreciate you coming on and spending this Saturday morning with us. We hope we didn't get you up too early.
No, as a matter of fact, I truly thank God for this opportunity, Brother Jay, and this afforded me the opportunity to talk about, these things that have played out in my life, man. This is truly a blessing. I just want to thank Thunderstorm Radio as well as Ty, my girl. She's one of my publicists, man, as well as AD. He's my screenwriting producer. My man Fence. With Midtime Studio and Film, God is doing some great things. Miss Ali, who actually come aboard, Miss Kalea Ali. There's a lot of other hosts of people, man. Mike and Amir from Chop Shop. It's just been a tremendous blessing, man, coming in contact with so many wonderful people, that I've never even met, never seen before, for the first time. And I give God the honor and praise this morning, my brother. So I just want to thank you. No, it's not early. We have to get up. I get up every morning, giving God the praise and honor. 30 minutes, I isolate myself, 30, 40 minutes from everything. I get in there in my bathroom, man, to get my Bible, get my praise on. So I'm just looking up and thanking God, man.
Absolutely, and we appreciate you, and definitely want to send our support as well to everyone that you just mentioned just now. For those that may be unaware, just take a brief second and just give us an introduction as to who Raymond Hicks is, where you come from, and what actually brought you to the Thunderstorm this morning.
Yes, my name is Raymond Hicks. Of course, I'm originally from Vero Beach, Florida, where I was born and raised. I actually migrated back here to South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. And, of course, growing up as a young kid, I was raised by a single parent. My dad wasn't always there in my life, I think he walked out maybe around about 11 years of age. And I guess because of the fact that, there were so many different things that transpired in their lives, where they were stabbed and cut and my mother was shot, and a lot of the different things that played out as a young kid, it's just amazing to me how God sometimes chooses certain individuals to go through certain situations so that you can be a testament and a testimony to someone else. And, again, I've been living here in Fort Lauderdale for almost 30-some years. I have 3 kids, my wife, and it's just been amazing to me how God has been doing so many incredible things, man. And what brought me back here to Fort Lauderdale is because I want to go into law enforcement. And, of course, my dad hated cops. He always theorized how he'll blow a cop brains out if he ever crossed his path. If there was stabbing, cut, and my mother was shot, when I was a young kid, you can only imagine he shot his own best friend and did 8 years in prison, So you can only imagine, the type of life that I lived as a young kid, sometimes going to bed hungry, man, with a ketchup sandwich, mayonnaise sandwich. My mother used to send me down to the corner store. Hey, go tell Mr. Clinton to give you $1 for bologna and loaf of bread, and tell him I'll see him on Friday. There's a lot of Raymond Lamar Hicks that's out there that are going through the same or similar situation that I've gone through. So I channel my anger and put it to motivation. My motivation was to go into law enforcement and make a difference.
Absolutely. How many years did you spend on the law enforcement? What brought you to law enforcement in the first place, and what ended up being the reason that you left?
Well, what actually informed me to go into law enforcement is because, I was fascinated with cops when I was a young kid, maybe around about 7 years of age. They would come out in the community, man, and they would talk to you about the pros and cons. They would talk to you about the importance of, guns and, not getting yourself in trouble and a lot of other different things. And I was just fascinated, man, by cops, because of the way that the interaction that I had with them as a young kid. So that's what informed me to go to college on a football scholarship, and I majored in criminal justice. And lo and behold, I actually came back here to Fort Lauderdale 11/17/1986, and I began to work as a detention officer. And, I began to hear the cries of some of the brothers, man, who actually came into the system where they were saying that they were beaten to the ground and money was taken from them, drugs were planted on them, and I'm saying to myself, why does the recidivism rate keep going up? You guys keep coming in here, you got to take a stance. I used to tell inmates, listen, man, I love you guys. I'm no better than you are. We have the same color blood. There's no difference between you and I. The only difference is I took a stance and not use my life, to hinder me from achieving the goals that I set out to achieve, but it motivated me to be the person who I am today. And as I begin to talk to these young brothers, man, I said, you know what? I'm going to go out in the street, and I'm going to see exactly what they're talking about because, this is on a regular basis. How guys coming in, their heads split wide open. They tell you that drugs are being planted on them. The cops are taking money from them. So I went through the Crossover Academy back in 1996, and from correction to law enforcement. Once I graduated the academy, I went out on the street, rode as a 10-12 for a short period of time in uniform. And then I went into a narcotics operation, the Drug Task Force, OCD, and the Cradle, within 1,000 feet of a school, 3 years of state penitentiary. And lo and behold, while I was out there selling drugs, I had goals in my mouth, my hat twisted backwards. You would think I was the biggest thug, but my job was to bring down drug dealers, big-time drug dealers. And I found out that BSO was manufacturing the drugs, given to us to be sold in the street, which is entrapment. They was planting drugs on black offenders, beating them to the ground, and taking their money. And I said, listen, man, this is morally wrong. This is totally unethical. I'm not going to engage in indulge in this practice. This is wrong, man. I'm not going to get involved in this. And I said something about it, and that became my dilemma. I was arrested and charged with and faced with natural life imprisonment, where they said I went to various states, delivered 350 kilograms of cocaine that was equivalent to over $700 million.
Wow. We definitely gonna get into your story as well too. I wanted to take some time too, since you've actually had the experience in law enforcement. You've actually had the experience from that side that many of us will actually never know. What's your take on what you've seen as far as like the news broadcasts and everything that you've been seeing from the city that I live 10 minutes outside of, Charlotte, North Carolina, and just what's your opinion of that?
Well, first of all, I totally disagree with all the things that's going on. Especially with these insensitive killings that's taking place with the citizens as well as law enforcement. These people need to be held accountable for their actions. What they need to do is that they need to implement the body cams. Why? It's because it protects the citizen, it protects law enforcement, but most importantly, Jeff, we need permanent figures from the community, someone like yourself and other pastors and other people who are not just going to side with these people who are actually committing these crimes, where you can sit down and actually review the footage so that the footage does not get altered. See, the citizens will never know what goes on in law enforcement. They will never know unless you're a part of law enforcement. And I think it should be mandated that every man or woman who wears a uniform, they should be wearing a body cam. And if you look at these different shootings that just took place recently, the sad thing about it is that the family's going to suffer on both sides. And I just think that the top administration needs to take an aggressive approach and get involved with these things that's going on within the department and hold these people accountable. And these actions that they're committed, they will stop. See, cops feel like they fall upon immunity. So they can go out there and do anything they want to do to a person, and they're immune from any type of discipline being handed down to these people. This is the problem that we're having right now. And the only way it's going to stop is that it's going to take people like yourself and other big-time pastors and all these incumbents, you know, the state senators, the representatives, the congressmen, and all these other different people need to come together and say, listen, no, we're holding you guys accountable for the action that took place with these insensible killings. And the point is this, and then it will stop, Jeff. Other than that, it's going to continue to a rate where people are going to start responding in ways that society is not looking for that. But that's not the answer. That is not the answer. That is not the answer, Jeff. For these people to be tearing up their own cities, you know, and getting themselves hurt and being arrested, no, that's not the way you get it. That's not the way you should go about it. What needs to happen is that they need to start taking these cheaper police and all these other different people's jobs. Okay, you don't want to discipline this person because all of y'all in bed with each other? Okay, well, we going to the commissioner, we going to everybody that we need to go to, and we're going to demand some type of investigation that needs to be commenced at once. It's just outrageous, and it makes me feel bad, you know, that they can get out and do these things to innocent people, man, and walk away from it like it's nothing.
Do you think that we understand that the system is definitely designed to protect itself? I have a theory. My theory is if we can get in the system and stop them upon investigation, you know, they get mandatory paid leave during the investigation. My theory is if that changes, that would stop drastically a lot of this stuff.
Well, Jeff, you got to understand something. They give, okay, first of all.
Oh, that's actually Jay. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, that's Jay. I'm sorry.
That was actually Jay. I'm sorry.
Okay. You know, when the thing about it is this, they give pay who they want to give pay to. Like, for example, when you hear about my story, they suspended me without pay. Not with pay, without pay, pending the outcome of the investigation. So they do what they want to do. And I totally agree with you that, number one, why would you suspend a person with pay? No, right. You get no pay. You get no pay. But they do it for certain people, though, to be honest with you. They do it for who they want to do it for.
Right. Yeah, I think that for a long time has been kind of, you know, these investigations can last for years sometimes, and I think to level that playing field, if you're waiting on your money if you're in that situation, you're gonna think about. So then you have a consequence to your action. So you're gonna handle that a little more differently.
You know, and Jay, I have to agree with you, my brother, is when you start taking money out of the home, you know, you put them in a situation where now you're causing a major turbulence amongst the family. Because you're going to hear how I suffered. My family suffered tremendously, immensely. You know, that it's really going to, I can assure you that it's going to touch all you all lives out there. And, you know, and the ones that's listening.
Which is actually where we're going with it. That's actually a dope transition. You actually did it before I started there, too. What was it? So where is the transition? You go from being this esteemed man of the, you know, the Miami-Dade police force. There's this camaraderie. There's this brotherhood. They treat you like a brother, and then all of a sudden you're just an outcast, and then they just treat you like, you know, just because you decided you wanted to do the right thing, which is what they were supposed to do in the first place. They're supposed to serve and protect, and they decided they was going to do it a different road type of way. And because you wanted to be a man who was upstanding and do it the right way, all of a sudden they turned on you. Just give us a little bit about what the transition was, how they changed, and just go ahead and go into your story.
Okay. Well, it was actually our sheriff office, Jeff, and What happened was this. Like I said earlier, when I started working with the sheriff department, working with this narcotics operation that was going on, I just saw so many different things, man, and I disagreed with it. And when I spoke out about it, I'll never forget, on June 15, 2000, I went to work that day. They took me from working undercover. They put me back in the jail, which I didn't care. And basically, I came home, and I began to go to my backyard and work out, because that's one of the things that I'm proud about is working out and staying fit. And when I went to my backyard to begin to work out, I saw either the SWAT team, I didn't know if it was the SWAT team or the drug task force, mounting up across the street from where I live. And all of a sudden, when they saw me, they all jumped in their cars and they sped down the back street. And as they sped down on my back street, I would begin to walk to the front of my yard and say, let me see what's going on. And lo and behold, I think about 55, 60-something cops approached me at gunpoint. My kids are there looking on, and they screaming and yelling. And I'm saying, what is this? What's the problem? Are you Ray Hicks? I said, you guys know I'm Ray Hicks. They said, well, Ray, we got a warrant for your arrest. I said, for what? Well, we can't discuss it right now. So what do you mean you can't discuss it? You have a warrant for my arrest and you can't tell me what it's for? So, of course, lo and behold, they handcuffed me, and this black brother, comes over to me that I knew, and he put his hands on my shoulder and assured me that everything was going to be okay. And I'm there in handcuffs. My kids are still crying and screaming. My wife had gone to Winn-Dixie, and when she came back, she saw this commotion going on, with the neighbors and everybody looking on. And lo and behold, she began to pat her chest, and ask me what's going on, these people, they tear up everything, and asked me, well, where's your identification? I said, it's in the house. You want me to go get it? No, we'll go get it for you. So they send my wife in my house, and then they come back out, and they place me in a cruiser because a lot of people started looking on. People started stopping, So then they placed me in the backseat of the cruiser, and they transport me down to District 5, which is a substation. When I get down there, I'm started asking them, what am I here for? Well, Mr. Hicks, we can't discuss it right now. So you people arrested me. You tell me I don't want for my arrest, but nobody telling me what you coming here for. And lo and behold, they booked me in there at District 5. Then they transported me to the city jail. So when I get there, I stay there overnight in isolation. The next morning, the marshal comes to get me. And of course, I'm saying to myself, how is it that the marshals is coming here? I said, what is this about? And of course, they said to me, well, Ray, we're here to take you to court. I said, the marshals? I said, this got to be serious, man. I said, what is it that I've done? I mean, somebody need to tell me something. Well, Ray, we can't discuss it with you right now, but you'll find out when you get in court. So they handcuffed me and shackled me. They take me to court. So when I get to court, the DA says, the prosecutor says, when Mr. Hicks is at work, he's in the top 10% of the department. Jeff, I was a highly decorated officer, man. I was a Gold Cross recipient, a Silver Cross recipient, 2-time death of the month. And she said, when he's not at work, he's into other curricular activities. And then she prompted to the courts that I went to various states and lived 350 kilograms of cocaine. And I just literally lost it. I said, what the freak? I said, what is, I'm looking at my mom and my wife, and I said, what are these people talking about, man? I'm at work every single day. And my mom is like, son, calm down. I'm like, calm down, Mom. These people telling me that I'm facing natural life imprisonment, without possible parole. For what? I'm working every single day. Now, granted, Jeff, and Jay, they never caught me in for questioning. Internal Affairs never did a thorough investigation, because they could have determined that I was at work every single day. They never did anything of that sort. They were so malice and malicious about getting me and destroying me because I'm speaking out against these people, for their wrongdoing, that they was really just maliciously just came and just did what they did to me. So the judge said, "Well, we're not going to give you a bond. We're going to hold you." And I'm saying to myself, like, at this point, man, I'm ready to lose everything now because I don't even know how to describe it to you, that day. But the only way I could describe it to you, I had so much anger that built up in me that it wasn't even funny, And she says, "You're not a flight risk, but you're a menace to society." I was on the force for 15 years at this particular time. And they take me into the holding cell. When I get in the holding cell, there was 5 other guys who they arrested along with me. And Jeff and Jay, God is my witness. When I looked at them dudes, I'm like 6'1", almost 290-some pounds, man. And I'm not fat, I was getting ready to just hit every last one of them, because I felt like they said something that to have me in that situation. They're like, "Man, listen, man, you wrong, Hicks, man. You want to jump on us, but we haven't did nothing to you, man. This is your department." Lo and behold, they take me to the federal detention center. When I get there, they strip search me, treated me like I was the lowest scum on the face of this earth. Then they took me and put me in the hole. And I stayed in the hole for 5 months. They literally tried to destroy my mind. Where you stand there, if you can envision going in your bathroom and you stand in there for 24 hours, or 23 hours a day, you come out 1 hour a day. And the officer was taunting me every single day. "You're that effing officer, you're that crooked cop, you should be gone for the rest of your life. You don't deserve to be, you don't deserve to have ever worn a uniform." And I'm telling these guys, I'm like, "Man, y'all wrong, man." I said, "I've never been in trouble my entire life. I shouldn't even be here. These are trumped up charges on me." They was like, "Yeah, that's what all the inmates said. These charges are trumped up on you." I said, "I don't know about no other inmates, but I'm innocent, man. I shouldn't even be here." So it got to a point where I began to argue with them, there was an emergency button inside the cell. And there was sometimes, Jeff and Jay, that I never even ate, man, because I thought, I said to myself that they probably spit in my food or whatever. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to even eat. And the only way that I could really go to sleep was I worked up to like maybe 1,000, 1,500 push-ups every other day, and I just began to pray. And all of a sudden, I don't know how to explain to you, but the room looked like it was closing in on me. And it looked like I was talking, like to the walls, and the walls are responding, which is referred to as hallucinating. But I began to bind that spirit, and all of a sudden I got so angry one day that I started pushing the emergency button inside the cell. Because number one, I had not spoken to my kids, my family, and they took me. The captain requested that they bring me to him, because really I'm ready to fight with all you people. And I'm well trained. I've been trained in chemical agents, narcotics, you name it. I've been trained in it, And to be honest with you, I'm just ready for them to kill me now, because I'm in here. Y'all treat me inhumane for things that I have not done. And they bring me to the captain, and the captain said, "Ray, why are you threatening my staff?" I said, "Sir, I'm not threatening your staff. Your staff is threatening me. Every day they come here, they walk by my cell, they got something nasty to say about me. They pick at me." I said, "I've been here for 5 months now. Have not had an opportunity to talk to my family, my kids, my wife." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to give you that phone call." And right after that, Jay and Jeff, after he gave me that phone call, very emotional, man, crying, Then they put me down in general population. When they put me in general population, as soon as I walk through the door, here come this inmate, like 6'4". You can hear the whole unit. Man, that's that cop. That's that cop. As soon as I walk through the door, here comes this inmate, still about 6'4", 270 pounds. "Oh, you that effing cop?" I said, "Dude, you got a problem with me?" So one mind told me to knock his face off. But some say, "Man, if you hit this man, you're going back where you just came from." So one of the inmates who recognized me from the second floor of the county jail, they call him Blind, he came over, he said, "Man, trust me, you got a fight on your hand, man." He said, trust me, you mess with the right one right now. You're going to have a really good, he said, he going to thump. Hicks is going to thump. That's the exact words. So I go in there and I put my bathrobe down, and as I'm getting ready to exit the cell, he's standing at the door. I said, man, I said, you got a problem, man? I said, yeah, I hate effing cops, he says. I said, yeah, you hate cops? I said, dude, you don't even know me. I don't have to know you. I said, listen, you know what? You a freaking coward, man. You running your mouth. Let's go in this room, and we can handle this like men. And we are both greedy to go in the room. Jeff and Jay, listen, I tried to beat him to death. I literally tried to beat him to death. And I went back to my room, man. And I looked up
the fight,
and said, Lord,
did the fight result in you going back to the hole?
No, because the officer, there's 122 inmates in the cell to one officer. So what the inmates did, they like blocked the door. You know what I mean? Like everybody just stood around. You know, when the officer couldn't even see. He didn't even know what was going on. He was in the control room.
Okay.
And after that, I went to my room, you know, and I looked up and I just began to say, Lord, why? God said, why not you? I need a good shepherd to go get my sheep and bring them unto me. He says, when all revenues has been exhausted, that's when I begin to manifest myself. Jeff and Jay, let me tell you something, my brothers. Lord is my witness. I begin to help so many. Man, I begin to bring forth the word of God so powerful. Walk around morning, noon, and night. Chapo Iglesia, getting these brothers up. And I begin to write case law, motions for these brothers, you know, who couldn't read or write. I actually sent a letter to the administration requesting that they put a law library in the unit where I was. You know, so there were so many great things, man, that I began to do while I was there. And I understood the reason why God placed me there. He put me there for a reason, to be that bright light shining, where these brothers and sisters are forced to plea bargain to avoid facing increasingly hard sentence because they cannot read and write. They don't comprehend. So God sent me there to be that bright light shining for them. And lo and behold, one of the inmates, my roommate, he gave me a nickname. They called me Big Homie. And when I tell you I got so much respect for these brothers in there, man, it was just unbelievable. You know? And how about this? I even won a life-saving award and was honored by the warden with an inmate who had shot many years, he told me, I found out later, in his head, and he had these huge seizures, you know, convulsions. And the officer walked out the unit and left the unit unattended. And, of course, they called me, Big homie, come. I went to the rec yard, which is right inside the facility where I was housed at, and there this man, he done swallowed his tongue, you know. So I was able, man, to do, for my training, I knew what to do, and I was able to bring your brother back. And as a matter of fact, it's detailed in my book that's titled, I'm Still Standing. And as you can see the letters that was written by the warden and also from the counselor, Mr. Stephen McCann. God bless him, as he rest in peace. And all of a sudden, my attorney called me downstairs, fast forward. He says, Ray, he says, you know, you face a natural life imprisonment. I said, I'm not faced with anything. He said, what do you mean? I said, man, I'm not faced with anything. I haven't done nothing wrong. This is my department trying to muffle me. And when I began to tell him, Jeff and Jay, about what happened to me, he basically said to me, he said, Mr. Hicks, he said, listen, man, he said, I just want you to know that from this day forward, on the manuscript, write down everything that happened, because one day this could be a bestseller book, possibly a movie. And he took me back to court and got off my case. He said, Your Honor, I don't want nothing to do with this case. He said, I don't want anything to do with this case. Then they give me another court-appointed attorney. You know, he comes in, and under coercion, he tried to force me to take the time that they were offering me. They went from me being faced with natural life imprisonment without possible parole to 16 and a half months. He said, Ray, you should take the 16 and a half months and run, man. This is the Fed. They got a 98.8% conviction rate. I said, man, God got a conviction rate of 0%, and I'm not taking nothing. I said, I told you from day one, I'm not taking, if they offer me time served, I don't want it. I said, because I haven't done anything wrong, man. And he said, why are you so arrogant? I said, what do you mean, why am I so arrogant? I said, I'm not being arrogant, sir. I'm just telling you that I'm not going to go in there and admit to something that I have not done. So he becomes infuriated. And all of a sudden, another attorney came in. He says, man, if I've never seen an innocent guy, he said, you're one of them and you shouldn't be here. All of a sudden, now my attorney have a change of heart. But what I did, Jeff and Jay, I set him up. So when he came, I began to tell him some of the things that played out, like I'm explaining to you all and all the people out there in the radio land in North Carolina about some of the things that played out within my department. Because I knew that he was not there for me. So all of a sudden, when I began to tell him about all the corruption and everything that was going on, he comes back to me and tells me, well, Raymond, I spoke with the DA, and she said that you're not here because of your department and the corruption, but you're here because of your involvement. I said, what involvement are you talking about? He said, drug trafficking. I said, well, where are the drugs, sir? I said, where's the evidence? Where's the money? I said, they have nothing. So what I did is this. I let him go. I went back upstairs. I composed a letter. And I sent to him, describing that whatever I discussed with you as an attorney, you don't have the right to go back and discuss it with the DA unless I give you authorization. I said, that's supposed to be protected upon an attorney-client privileges. Why would you do that? So he figured out what I was doing, so he hurried up and got me back to court, and he got off my case. He said, Your Honor, I don't want nothing to do with this case. I found out that the court-appointed attorneys, Jeff and Jay, and people out there in the radio land, that the court-appointed attorney get a bonus when you take a plea.
Well,
wow.
With all that being said, Raymond, I understand your forthrightness. I understand your backbone. I understand you doing things as a man. That that's not common with many men. With all that going on, why not just quit? Why not just do what they ask you to do? Why not just cooperate? Why not just take the easy route? What is it that's placed inside you that made you so strong to decide that wasn't the option that you were going to take?
Well, first of all, like I said, stemming back when I was 7 years of age, man, I saw my dad had a run-in with the law, and I was fascinated by cops. There was no deputy that was sharper than me. Whether it be SOP, PNP, my uniforms look like it could cut you. My boots look like the sun. You can actually see yourself in my boots. I was always clean shaven, and I was always sharp. And the reason why I was not going to accept anything and take the easy way out, because I was innocent. I was 100% innocent. I didn't do nothing wrong. I used to tell inmates, man, if you didn't do anything wrong, don't go in there and tell these people that you did wrong when you didn't do wrong. But I'm telling you, Jay and Jeff, that a lot of these brothers, man, they become afraid because of the time that they're offered, and they don't want to take a chance, and they just go in there and just admit to something that they know that they didn't do, but they just want to get it out of the way. But see, but one thing, with the same information that I used to tell these inmates is the same thing that I had to say to myself. And I stand firm, my brother. If I did it, I did it. I remember my mom beat me one time because I ate 6 cookies that was in this cookie jar. She said, I'm going to give each one of y'all cookies and do not go back in this jar. I went back in there, and my mother, unaware of the fact that she counted the cookies, and I ate like 6 or 7 cookies. And my mom came back and said, hey, who went in the cookie jar? I said, I don't know who did it, Mom. But I knew I was the guilty party. And she said, I tell you what, I'm going to ask you all. She said, I'm going to ask you again, who went in the cookie jar? I said, Mom, I don't know. I don't know who did it. I don't know. She said, okay, I want all y'all to get out their clothes and go get me an extension cord. And as I'm standing there with my brothers and my sister and my brother, I know I'm the guilty party. She said, I'm going to ask you again, who went in the cookie jar? So I'm watching my brother and sister cry. I said, Mama, I did it. She said, Lamar, she called me by the middle name. She said, Lamar, you did it? I said, yes, ma'am, I did it. She said, well, why did you lie with me when I asked you the first time? I said, I thought you were going to beat me. She said, son, I'm still going to beat you. She said, I'm not going to beat you because you ate the cookies. I'm going to beat you because you lied to me. And let me tell you something. Jeff and Jay and the people out there in the radio land, my mother tore my behind up with that extension cord. You hear me? And from that day to this day, I'm going to tell you right now, if I did it, I did it. If I didn't do it, I didn't do it. It's just that simple. I'd rather for you to take my life before you will force me to say that I did something that I know I did not do. And that's the reason why, Jay, that I did not accept what these people was coming to me with. No.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this. So where does your case stand right now? How did that situation end? Where does your case stand right now? Are you still married to your wife? What's your situation now?
Still married to the wife. My case has not been finalized yet. As a matter of fact, I took my case to trial before a 12-panel jury, knowing that I was faced with natural life imprisonment. The judge asked them what are drugs. They said, we don't have any drugs. He slammed the gavel and said, you mean to tell me you bring this man in here, you don't have an ounce of drugs? So why is he here? They lied and said I gave confidential law enforcement information, NCIC. A communication operator came and testified and said, Hicks has not read this information. Then they said I was on audio tape. I said, my voice cannot be viewed on any tape. So when they played the tape for the jury and the judge, they found out it was not my voice, but it was the same deputy who placed me on arrest. Every man or woman that was involved in my situation still work in the Broward Sheriff's Office to this day, except for the ones that retired. Captains, lieutenants, sergeants, commanders, detectives. And to be honest with you, I pray for them all. I pray for all of them, And it's just amazing to me, how is it that these people can do these things to a deputy, that I have not done anything wrong, being falsely accused of something that they know that I did not do, but yet still these people they were actually rewarded. So you see why people revert to a lot of these things. It's just like, as I heard you say earlier, Jeff, that if you Google Deputy Raymond Hicks, there's so much negative about me as a man, as a person. But if you Google Raymond Hicks, you'll see a lot of positive things that I've done. The media have done everything they could to discredit me. But do you not know, when the jury deliberated and they came back with a not guilty verdict within 30 minutes, do you not know that the media have never allowed me, afforded me an opportunity to talk about what happened to me?
Well,
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I don't know if you can even answer this question, but I'm going to ask because I believe in holding people accountable. Who do you feel, or do you know, gave the green light for all of this to happen?
The sheriff. Sheriff Ken
like
Jennings.
the main guy.
The sheriff Ken Jennings. Because he controls all these different people. He controls the department. He's a sheriff. There's nobody higher than him except for the state prosecutor. He allowed them to happen. Listen, the sheriff has a duty and responsibility to look into a situation, investigate everything that transpired, and before he signed off on anything.
So do you think that they fabricated this and brought it to him, or you think he actually had that, because, apparently from understanding this, it's safe to assume that everybody is crooked and has something to gain from the way things are and wanted to remove you because you affected business as usual.
No,
so
he
think
did not. Him personally himself, no, he did not do the investigation. But I'm talking about these people who actually was working with me, and I saw them doing wrong, and I said something about it. These are the people that went to their boss. Their boss actually took it all the way up to the sheriff, but still he has a responsibility before he signed off on anything to check and see that if what's been said is correct. So my question to you all out there, how is it that they arrest me, but they never even called me for questioning? They never interrogated me. Internal Affairs never called me down to Internal Affairs. They have a duty and responsibility, my brother, is that if someone filed a complaint of somebody, if there's a complaint against me, Internal Affairs has to call you into office and say, Mr. Hicks, this is the complaint that has been initiated against you.
How do we support you financially, whether it be financially or whatever? How do we support you? How do we get people involved in your fight and get you some help?
Well, you know, my brother, I've been reaching out for help almost 16, 17 years now. My civil case has not been resolved, you know, and I must mention to you all, after I was exonerated, Jeff and Jay, do you not know, I came home. They sent me death threats. They said I'll be lying in my room in a pile of blood, the Broward Sheriff Office. Okay? My neighbor came to me and said, Mr. Hicks, I'm afraid for you and your family. She said two white deputies parked in her driveway, and when she inquired why we were there, they told her to mind their effing business. They had an investigation going on. But not even a couple months later, they stormed my home again at gunpoint. Okay? 55, 60-some cops, if not more. Broke my house off, said I was shooting at someone in my backyard. At the time of the alleged shooting, my wife and I, we were in court. I take that case to trial. They didn't even, when a white guy shows up in my yard, I tell my wife, I say, go present the documents to him showing that we were in court. When my wife presented the documents to him, within seconds, they dissipated. 55 or 60 calls was going within seconds. They later charged me through the mail, said I discharged the firearm. I take that case to trial before the judge. The judge said, we're the victim. We don't have a victim. Did you do a ballistic test? No. Where are the bullet casings? We don't have any bullet casings. He said, where's the officer that generated this probable cause affidavit? He no longer works for the department.
One second. I got a little bit of feedback. I think I got some background noise. You said, what did the officer provide an affidavit?
Yes. The judge asked him, he said, where's the officer that generated this probable cause affidavit? And the prosecutor said that he's no longer working for the department. So the judge said, well, I hope y'all prepared to go to trial within the next 10 minutes. Within 10 minutes, I was tried by the courts and acquitted by the judge.
Wow. Okay, so you mentioned the fact that you're not getting the help you need. Again, how do people support you? You have a foundation or something? You have like social media where they can get in contact with you? How do people get involved in your fight?
Yes, well, you know, I am on social media. You know, Raymond Hicks, Facebook. I'm also on Instagram. I don't have anything set up right now. You know, I can tell you that my family and I, we've suffered tremendously, you know, immensely. I've lost everything. I lost my home, my cars, my finances. I couldn't feed my family, you know. It wasn't until I applied for food stamps and unemployment I couldn't get it. You know, my civil case right now is still pending. Well, it's not pending right now because they had to disqualify the judges. The Broward Sheriff Office owed me $2.69 to this day, and I have not collected. The only thing they gave me was my years of service. I finally took my case to arbitration, and they gave me 13.14 years of service when, in fact, they're supposed to be paying me for 19 and a half years. They gave me $100,000 back in 2003, and they expunged my record. And all of a sudden, I finally take my case to trial through civil. We filed for malicious prosecution, false arrest, imprisonment, a violation of my constitutional civil rights, supervision of intent, and destruction of evidence. Do you not believe, Jeff and Jay, that when I finally got that day, and I said, Lord, I thank you. And all of a sudden, they chose a jury, all-white jury. And do you not know the jurors begin to cry when they listen to the testimony? Every officer, man or woman that was involved in my case, hysterically says, they didn't recall, they don't remember, they never had any involvement with me. They never arrested me. All these other lies that they told in court. The court stenographer, she transcribed everything that I'm telling you all right now. And finally, when the counsel for the sheriff saw the jurors crying, they called for recess. And do you not know that counsel sent a certified package to the judge's home? The judge came back that Monday morning, and he said, I'm prepared to rule in this case. Do you not know the judge did not allow the case to go to the jury? But he kicked me and my family out of court. He gave a directed verdict and kicked me and my family out of court. And the counsel for the sheriff began to laugh at me and my family as we were walking out. Now, how can that happen? That was a jury trial, not a bench trial. See, these are the things that I'm talking about. No, sir, I don't have no foundation set up. I've been reaching out to everyone. But it wasn't until, I will tell you this right here, and all the listeners out there, God afforded me an opportunity to get a job working for the United States Department of Homeland Security through a subcontractor. And I won a life-saving award out there. And I became a lieutenant and a SWAT commander for ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And lo and behold, I was told to do an investigation on one of the administrators out there that she was married to a convict. When I concluded my investigation, I found out that everything that was said was true. And that lady came up, and she became the deputy project manager, and she came up against me when she found out that I did the investigation on her. So anytime you try and bring legitimate issues to the department head about what goes on with these people on these jobs who's supposed to be making a difference, they come after you. And that's why you don't have a lot of officers, men and women, who are coming up with speaking, bruh. It's because they're afraid. They're afraid to lose their pension. They're afraid to put their family, because their family's going to suffer. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same way that I did it this time right here. Because I stand up for the people. I'm 100% committed to the people, period. I love law enforcement. You know, I love law enforcement. It was always my life. And I think it's unfortunate that they took something from me that I use to make a difference in the community. Anybody in this community out here will tell you how much they love me. I'm going to say this and I'll be done. An inmate that they brought from prison who was down for 15 years, and they brought him in to lie on me. And he was a drug dealer. And they asked this man, they said, do you know this gentleman here? He said, yes, I know Deputy Hicks. They said, you know him to be a drug dealer. He said, Mr. Hicks ain't never been no drug dealer. Mr. Hicks is one of the highly respected individuals in the community. He said, I'm a drug dealer. I've been a drug dealer ever since I was 12 and 14 years of age. This was the main government witness now that testified on my behalf. But see, that's why you have to be careful how you treat people on your way up, because you're going to meet them on your way down. And I'm a living witness of that. But Jeff, you know, and Jay, I've been trying to raise, man, let me tell you, I literally beg people. Just recently, you know, I had to scrape up change and just to put gas in my car. You know, it's been rough, man, but let me tell you something. But I know that God is able. You understand me? God sits high, he looks down low. And as a matter of fact, and I'm hoping and praying, Jeff and Jay, that you all will allow me an opportunity to pray for law enforcement, my law enforcement family, the citizens, the radio station, and everyone else, man. You know what I mean? Because one thing I believe in is this. I thank God for channeling the anger and putting it to motivation. And my motivation is to make a difference in young kids' lives and let them know that I love them. See, this is what we need. I'm not fighting against these people. Am I angry? Absolutely not. Was I angry before? Most definitely. But when I built that relationship with God, I said, Lord, yet though they slay me, I'm still going to trust you, no matter what I may go through.
Right.
Through it all. Through it all. Through it all.
So tell me, what do you... I keep hearing stories about things like this where there's blatant crimes being looked over, caused by the people that are saying that they're designed to serve and protect us. These are the gatekeepers. Like, these are the people who, you know, you took an oath, and yet you cut corners when it's convenient for you. What can we do as a group of people to, one, support those men and women that take that stand and fight for us amongst this injustice? And what legally, like, how hard is it to get a cop out of, like, when they get caught legally doing something? What can we, the community, do to kind of force the establishment hand to get that cop or that judge out of them positions?
And one thing too, Mr. Hicks, we coming over about 5 minutes. I know you said you wanted to pray, so I just want to let you know we coming over about 5 minutes here.
Okay, I'll make it quick. It's just like the incident that happened in North Carolina. I wasn't there. I don't know the facts surrounding the case. But if you ask yourself, how is it that the camera, you know, has not been presented? Am I telling people to go out there and ride it against these people? No, that's not the answer. But people like yourself in the radio land, some of these other dignitary people, these incumbents, the congressmen, the representatives, the pastors, and some of these very important people need to come down and say, hey, no sheriff, no chief, we want to sit down and have a meeting with you because this person here has to be disciplined for the crime that they committed. Now, if you can't do that, then what we need to do is take it to Ms. Roman, the Attorney General's office. You see, it has to go to the FBI. We have to do something to counteract these things that's going on. Listen, whether it be me, my wife, my mom, my kids, or whoever, if we go out there and do wrong, we need to be held accountable for our actions. And that's the problem right there. These people, so as a group of people, no, you don't want to fight like these young people are doing because somebody's going to get hurt. See, innocent cops are getting hurt. Why? Because other cops who go out there and do things wrong. So why not hold that person responsible for their actions?
Right.
Look at Tulsa. The chief of police says, no, listen, we don't condone this type of behavior, and it's not going to happen here in this city. Not even a couple of days later, Guess what? This woman, she's indicted. She's arrested.
With that being said, though, do you think that from what you saw, do you think that that's manslaughter or do you think that that's murder?
Listen, you got to understand something. I was not there, but from based on what I saw on the footage, that's not considered manslaughter because they had already tased this brother. You understand me? They had already tased him. Why would she come up and just fire around and kill him? Maybe she heard her husband's voice in the helicopter. That's a big guy. He's a bad guy. Who knows? I don't know what went through this lady's mind.
Was that her husband?
From what I thought I read, I could be wrong.
Really? Wow.
Well, I just want to sit here and say, too, as well, Raymond, Mr. Hicks, you're also mighty man of God. We're all touched by your story. We wanted to make sure you had a chance to tell your story. It's kind of unfortunate because we don't actually have a resolution to it yet, and I know that's more frustrating to you than anybody else. But definitely our hats are off to you. We're behind you in your situation. We appreciate you for taking time to come on and speak with us. If you ever need a platform at any time, call me up. We can do this again. We're probably going to have a part two of this because now the Thunderstorm audience and the Thunderstorm family is behind you. So we'll definitely be keeping a close watch, and I'll be in contact with you as well. We'll be keeping a close watch on your situation and letting people know the developments as it goes on and any platform you need to get your side of the conversation out. You know, we're here for you in that aspect.
Well, I appreciate.
But salute to you because you fought through this entire situation. Salute to your wife because I love our sisters, but there's not many sisters that wouldn't have just given up on you. And I think that's a testament to her forthrightness, her commitment to you, her commitment to her marriage and her honor, and to you as a wife, and her honor to God to stay with this. So, if you're fighting as hard as you can, we always fight as hard for you as you fight for yourself. If you're fighting, we're fighting with you.
Well, I appreciate my brother Jeff. You know, I mean, Jay. You know, I really appreciate it because, you know, when you one person fighting up against the system, it's almost like David and Goliath. You know what I mean? The system is a lot bigger than I am, man. You know, I'm just a sheep herder. You know, but it's not me that's fighting, but it's God who's gonna fight for me. And see, that's what I've come to realization and understand. It's not my fight, but there's some people that's out there. I also want to thank a lot of people that've been by me and supported me. I'm talking about my friends. They know who they are. You know, that supported my family when I was gone. You understand me? I don't have to call no names, but they all know who they are that's out there. See, that's another thing. You know who your friends are when you're at the lowest point of your life. When you feel like you're lower than dirt, that's when you realize who your true friends are. You know, and there's some true friends that I know that I have out there that stood by me through thick and thin. And I just want to thank them, you know, and thank God for allowing them to come into my life, you know, because if it was not for them, you know, my wife and kids, I mean, when I tell you they suffered tremendously. But all of a sudden, you know, here come two young ladies down the street, you know, Miss Fagan and Kareem, Sergeant Booker, Richard Lee, and I can just go on with the names, my brother, Anthony King, you know, who came in and began to help me out, you know, and I just thank God, and I just want to thank God for you all out there, man. You know, Thunderstorm Radio and all the listeners out there. I'm hoping and praying that you all would just seek God, you know, seek God first, and you will see the manifestation of what God can do. And keep the faith. Faith is a substance of hope for evidence of things that's not seen. So I know that things are difficult at this particular time, but I see where God has taken me. Also, I just want to say to all of them out there in the radio land, there's a movie that's coming out here soon with Midtown Studio and Film through my man AD, Mr. Fence, as well as my girl Ty, you know, my publicist. You know, a lot of great things are coming about, man. They're putting this thing into a script right now. The process is getting ready to do a movie. Lionsgate probably going to be producing this movie. You know, so it's amazing. A lot of great things are coming about, man. And the only thing I want to say to you all, one day I get a chance to invite you at the launch of my life, where I want to bring together law enforcement as well as the community, and have a big bash where everybody can interact. That's what I want to do. You know, have Jamaicans, Haitians, African Americans, Hispanic, you know, and everybody just cook their own specialty. You know, have a bounce house for the kids and stuff like that. See, this is what will bring the people together. This is what brings law enforcement together. Law enforcement brings their wives and their kids, you know, where everybody can interact. You know, everybody have a great time and bring some live entertainment, whether it be a jazz artist, whether it be a rapper, whether it be, you know, a pastor. You know what I mean? These are the things that needs to be done, my brother, and that's what I'm striving for.
You know,
and food definitely help all that as well.
Absolutely. You know, I'm in the process of putting together a tour where we're going from different cities and kind of talking to the community, the young adults, just the community about kind of things like this and everything that's going on in our community. And when I talk to some of these pastors and bishops, the first thing they say to me is they want to bring in law enforcement, they want to bring in your city council and your officials and everything. And the first thing I tell them is, I don't want any cops present. I don't care that I'm not interested in race relations with the police officers. I'm not trying to give them no, you know, that's just not my interest. That's not how it was given to me. And my reasoning behind that is, I feel like between our community, within our community, we got things to talk about. We as a community, we as leaders, we as the people need to have that freedom to vent and talk about what's going on in our world. And I look at it like this. If you're at the dinner table with your family having dinner, it's a completely different conversation when you invite guests. You know what I mean? Like my conversation with it. Say it again.
Well, Jay, let me just say this to you, my brother. See, this is the problem right now. And let me just tell you, as a brother that love you and Jeff, man, and love you unconditionally, that you got a lot of great officers like myself. See, what you just said, right, to me, it's like I'm being punished because of other officers' mistakes. Because if a lot of these things wasn't playing out the way that it's playing out with the citizens and as well as law enforcement, you wouldn't have that mindset. But I want you to know that there's a lot of great cops that's out there, man, that put their lives on the line and doing their job the way it's supposed to be done. A lot of them just don't come forth because they don't want to be subjected to this type of punishment that I've gone through. Not everybody can go through what I've been through, my brother, but I'm just saying to you that you'll be amazed, man, when you sit down. Look at, Lord, I thank you. Look at the cop, the white cop that was dispatched to an area, okay, where these kids were playing basketball in the street. And when he got there, he began to, this was a white man, a white cop, talking to young black kids. And he began to tell them about the importance of playing basketball in the street. So what he did was this. He went back to his department and talked to the higher administrators that it alerted Shaquille O'Neal. So he told the kids, he said, I'm going to come back with my team. He got out there and played basketball with them kids, man. All the other kids.
And I think the important, right? And I think the importance of all of this is we have different ideas and we have different ways of communicating them as well. And J Locke is definitely welcome to have his platform and his idea and do it in the way he feels is appropriate, because that's how God placed him in his heart. You're allowed to do the same thing, and then through conversations like these, we can kind of come up with a balance and come up with a mutual idea where we can all work together.
Yeah, I'm not saying that police officers shouldn't be involved at all. I'm just saying they shouldn't be involved in the process of talking about what we need. Now, there's people like yourself who can have those discussions with those people and represent our community. But before we get to that point, I think we need dialogue. We need healing. We need foundation in within our community, like without the political aspect. But what happens is everybody comes and it becomes a spectacle. No one really says what's really on their mind. It's this, you invite the news, you invite the magazines to come take pictures, and they give the illusions of putting forth effort. And everybody walks away the same.
And it's in the same thing too, though, Jay. Is like that might be your aspect of it. Raymond may actually have a different way of doing it, and that might be what works for Raymond. So we definitely got to make sure that Raymond's event is Raymond's event, and.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not saying what he's doing is wrong. I commend the brother. I'm just saying, at some point, we need to talk. And we can definitely have that conversation with law enforcement and bring law enforcement. I just don't think you want to bring hurt people to a meeting where they're not even the person. You could have a great cop, and I'm not talking about those cops that are active in their community and doing their thing. I commend that. I respect that. I support that. I appreciate that. Because nothing would make me feel happier to know that there are officers that really do their job. And I know some personally. Yeah. Unfortunately, in a lot of people's eyes in our community, and I'm playing devil's advocate, not the person, but what that person, when that person puts that suit on, what he represents. It's the same thing that happens in our community that happens when they see a young African American with their pants sagging and with a do-rag on and some Tim on. Like, their profile, unfortunately. And that creates a disconnect. So
but that's why they need to be educated, though, Brother Jay.
Absolutely, absolutely. But that education can't come from those people. They're going to tune it out. Those education has to come from people within the community that they trust to even be able to feel free that they can have that dialogue. And then I'm sorry,
Let me just say this to you. I was actually speaking at the Chop Shop a couple of nights ago.
We're coming up on a few minutes left because we got to get Jay's audio too as well, fellas.
Okay, my brother. I was speaking the other night, and this young black kid, he said he's an activist. He said he was training his kids how to shoot an AK and how to use a knife. And I sat down and I said, wait till you hear my story. He didn't even know me. Never seen this brother day in my life. But when I began to impart with him everything that I went through, and I began to tell him about the importance, I said, what you're doing is this. I said, you're planting the seed in bad soil. It's going to bring forth bad fruit. I said, you don't want to do that. That's not going to accomplish anything. It's going to get you hurt or your kids hurt. I said, they may wind up and turn against you. You never know. I said, but the thing about it is this. I said, if you feel that way, you say you're a community activist, then if you take somebody's life or somebody take your life, what have you accomplished? Now you can't get out there and reach our young kids and inspire them to do the right thing. So it starts at home. That's all I want to say.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
We appreciate it, fellas. We appreciate it. J Locke, you know you're my brother. Raymond Hicks, welcome to the family, man. We've appreciated both of you and your input. We went a little bit over the time, Raymond. We held you longer than we said we would and everything. Times like this, I wish we did a 4-hour show. But definitely going to have a part 2 and get you back on at some point.
Okay, my brother. Thank you all out there, man. God bless all of you guys. I love you. I love the people out there in the radio land. Thunderstorm, man. Much blessings, man. You know, you all in my prayers. I'll be interceding for you as you intercede for me, man. Love you guys, Jay.
Love you too, brother.
All right.
All right. Love you both. Love you both.
So much. All right.
And with that, J Locke, we ended up on a high note, man. We ended up with audio from you, live from the Grace Tabernacle. Go ahead and introduce it, and we're going to go ahead and roll out on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, allow me to say thank you for having me. I appreciate these types of discussions. Thank you, Brother Raymond, for being a part of it. My contact information, you can reach me at jlockesmg.com. Starting the beginning of the month, we will be back on the God Squad Network, the J Locke Show. Shout out to Alicia Melton. On everything, I am J Locke SMG, and this is a live taping of my youth explosion at Grace Tabernacle. I'm on my way to Fayetteville right now. We got something going on in Fayetteville State. If you're in the region, come check us out. This is J Locke, live at Grace Tabernacle. Salute.
We appreciate you for stopping by, and we wish you safe travel on the way there, bro. And I appreciate you popping in the studio and then staying on the phone with us as we got the end of the interview done. So most definitely got you in prayer, bro. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure hooking up with y'all on Storm Warning. This is J Locke, as he mentioned, live from Grace Tabernacle. We'll see y'all in a minute. Make sure you tune in Monday on The Storm and tomorrow on Thunderstorm Sports. Thanks.
Come on to the front. Bring this brother. Welcome this brother. Give him a great Tabernacle welcome. Great Tabernacle welcome.
Mike said 1, 2. All right, baby. All right. Check. How y'all feel? Y'all make some more some records. We gotta turn it over now. Y'all make some more records. miss you. Always miss you. Y'all feel good? Oh, yeah. Let's start to the band, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's keep going. In this crazy world.
Yeah. The yellow mic. The mic on the end.
You know, the style of music that I do, we call it hip hop. Yeah, the lady. And it's the high pitch lady. Kind of like gospel rap, but it's a little different because we add the element of hip hop, meaning that you really got to hear, and also the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we put that together and call it hip hop. So what's different is what we do is I come from a time where music was really, you know, the old school gospel hymns. You know about that? Yeah. Okay. So normally, I think I thought that this was going to be just all rap. But I remember when the mothers sat on this side, and the deacons sat on this side. Some of y'all might not know, but they moved the mothers on that side, and people sitting behind them in the street because of that. Yeah, so what we wanted to do is